We've talked a little bit about trademark, but we never really defined that. What is a trademark?
A trademark is any word or design or even a color or a smell or a sound. It's your brand. It's the thing that identifies you and your company as the exclusive source of your goods or services.
So you mentioned color. I'm a fan of the show Better Call Saul. And there's a scene where one of the players from Hamlin McGill references their special Hamlindigo blue, which is a manufactured color that they had picked for their logo. It sounds like this is actually a good legal argument for a trademark.
Okay, well, it can be. I mean, it's difficult to obtain trademark rights in a color, but it is certainly possible. I mean, we're all aware of the Tiffany blue. Back in the day, the Pink Panther, the pink insulation, UPS brown. It is possible.
So how does trademark compare to copyright? What's a copyright?
Well, a copyright is an expression. So copyright is more like your content. So, I mean, the obvious examples are, books, plays, but it's also artistic works like drawings, movies, all those sorts of things. But in terms of our clients, more often than not, it's either, the content of the website. Software is also protected by copyright. So it is an idea and then a tangible expression of that idea.
We've talked a little bit about process of obtaining copyrights in the US, but what about the EU? What's their rule on trademarks?
For the EU trademark, which they do have an umbrella mark that covers all member countries of the EU, either now or in the future, that is a first to file protection. So that would be a country where if you wanted to obtain and maintain your trademark rights, you would want to file your application for registration.
If you can get your attorney's fees back, you have to have the registration filed for the copyright before the infringement occurs to get your attorney's fees back, right?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, there's some very nuanced exceptions, but for all intents and purposes, yes. If someone comes to me and they've had, they have an infringement issue, but they don't have a copyright registration, that can be problematic because writing a cease and desist letter, I mean, the biggest hook you have is to say, look, we're entitled to statutory damages. And those are damages that are set out by the statute. They're not damages that you have to prove. And our attorney's fees and having to, bring this cease and desist or action against you. That's going to make infringers sit up and take notice. If you don't have that, it can become more difficult because it's difficult to actually have to prove copyright damages in many instances. And you might get that cease and desist letter that's simply ignored. So it can be very important depending on the nature of your business and what kind of disputes you encounter, copycats, that sort of thing. And that's something that just needs to be taken into consideration when I'm meeting with the client. If it's not a big concern, then it may not make sense, except for all but the very most important content pieces.
So if we go back to comparing copyright and trademark, copyright's got the potential ability to recover attorney's fees. Can you recover attorney's fees for breaches of trademark rights as well?
It is possible in a trademark infringement dispute, but you have to prove, well, even in a copyright case, you still have to make a motion before the court to obtain your attorney's fees, although it's not as high of a bar as with a trademark infringement case where you have to show that it's been an exceptional case in some way, such that you convince the judge that you're entitled to your attorney's fees.
So if we go back to the 50,000-foot strategy level, when you're working with a client and helping them set their strategy, you're having to think through all of the costs and benefits, including these enforcement options and recoverable damages and whether you can get your attorney's fees, but also what's the cost to move forward to figure out whether it makes sense to pursue a particular course of action.